and Kevin to really speak to this. First, I want y'all to speak to the fucking birth certificate and what that means, right? Secondarily, is the 1% operating in not even American? Because now, because of these big super corporations who are through the TPP, right, are their own governments, and get into that shit for real, let me just say this. Are the 1% operating like a small group of Merovingians? Remember how the Merovingian operated in the Matrix? He was in the Matrix, but the Matrix didn't operate. He operated within the Matrix like Neo.
He did.
Like, oh, I've seen your predecessors. I will survive you too. Right, that motherfucker knew. Like, who are you chasing, motherfucker? You know, I'm just saying. You know, that motherfucker was like, oh, you have some skill. I see. Right. So my point is, where everybody else is kind of blind sheep in the Matrix, not really understanding that A, money is debt. You chase in debt when you chase money. That is a philosophy, that is a belief system. Do you understand? But the 1% understand monopoly money as it really is. This is fiat money. It's not really real. It's not the money. It's the power behind the money that the 1% have. And you speak about it a lot when you talk about public versus private. That 1% private shit, was it you? No, it was my cousin. My cousin is a pilot. So we flying in his little plane to go to one of my son's games when he was in the 10th grade. That's when they made this playoff push. We fly into a private airport. Ain't no TSA, ain't no security.
Nope.
You just get off and it's all, hey, how y'all doing? You want some cookies and some apples and some juice?
Like,
and it's all great.
It's like a car that goes 35,000 feet and 400 miles an hour.
Right, so there's public and private. I understand that. But the 1% are operating like the Merovingian. They're able to manipulate the Matrix. And while the sheep, they have no idea. Speak to us about the fucking the money system, monetary system, the birth certificate. Who wants to tackle? You tackle birth certificate. You tackle the monetary system. Let's do that. Birth certificate, go.
Well, the birth certificate is a contract that most people don't.
Yes.
It is literally a contract that your parents put you in. Birth certificate came about around the 1930s, and it was from when America went bankrupt. They went bankrupt to the international bankers, or the people who own the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not a governmental agency; it's a private bank owned by
a private corporation.
Private corporation, excuse me.
Does it have more power than the U.S. government?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The people who own the Federal Reserve are those Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all those people they were talking about. Mm-hmm. And if I make the money, I don't need money. So that's how they control everything. So the government borrows money from the Federal Reserve and have to
Wait, hold on. If I make the money, I don't need the money.
No.
That statement in and of itself, motherfucker. Go ahead, finish.
Okay. I got something for that.
Well, so the government borrows money from the Federal Reserve at interest. And so the people, what happened in 1930 with the people or the bankrupt or the government went bankrupt, and so they had nothing else to promise or to repay the loans from the Federal Reserve but the people. So they basically pledged the people, the work of the people, and this is how you get the birth certificate. The birth certificate literally is it's a contract for your work, basically. Mm-hmm. So once that contract or that birth certificate, once it's signed, it's basically what's called a negotiable instrument. It's traded over the stock market. If you try to go get your real birth certificate, you can try to order it, and you can see sometimes they'll have stamps on the back of it of all the banks that it's passed through.
Damn.
So that contract is the initial contract.
What kind of paper is it printed on?
It's printed on the same paper as money. And if you get your birth certificate, it'll say at the bottom in small letters, Federal Reserve. It'll say on there the Federal Reserve.
We own your ass.
So,
birth canal, the birth,
well, canal. Well,
all of the languaging around it, registration.
talking about Admiralty Maritime Law. This is what you're talking about.
Just like a ship has a birth.
Right. So to subvert the Constitution, which is the law of the land, they had to create Admiralty Maritime Law. Admiralty is basically, it comes from the Arabic emir. So,
Prince.
The
prince.
or commander.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the word was used to be Amir al, which means commander of, and it didn't necessarily mean commander of the sea. However, they did in Spain. They did have Amir al-Bahr, which means commander of the sea. Then from that, the British took that and just rolled with it, added an AD in front of it, and that's how you get Admiralty. And specifically, it's for the law of the water. And that's
Commerce.
Commerce. Well, maritime law is the law of commerce on the water. Admiralty just means commander. So when you're in court and you're in an Admiralty court, the judge is the admiral in that vessel or in that thing, and that's why he's able to command you and do whatever he wants.
Wow. Joseph? Debt, money.
Well, I mean, I guess I would have to, you kind of like segue from his point about the birth. Yes, the birth certificate is a negotiable.
Speak into the mic.
The birth certificate is a negotiable document of title. At the bottom, you will have American Banknote Company. American Banknote Company only deals with stocks and bonds.
What?
Mine says American Banknote Company at the bottom. So do the ones here in California. If you go and get them, if you go get the long form of the birth certificate. But yes, it goes from the vital statistics to the Department of Commerce, from the Department of Commerce to the Department of Treasury to the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation to a holding company called Seed Corporation. Seed means to relinquish, like to succeed from something. C-E-D.
In the mic.
It means to relinquish something. So you're relinquishing something. But the thing is that I want to read to y'all, first of all.
But wait, let me ask.
Go ahead.
Because you're saying something really heavy. We have a misnomer, in my opinion, of what slavery really is. They paint a picture that slavery has to do with black people and chains and getting your ass
12 Years a
whooped
Slave?
and all that.
Did you see the movie 12 Years a Slave? Yeah. Go back and watch it again and pay attention to the part when they were in the house and they were taking the woman away from her children and she was going crazy. And he tried to get the children to go with him. And he said, look, you need to take this or go. He gave him a note.